I'm replacing rotors on this 2008 Honda Accord. I got the other side done. This is what I do so I don't end up with brake chatter afterwards, because I'm up here in what people refer to as the rust belt. It states that, you know, put ice melt on the roads. It's not necessarily salt, because that only works down to maybe 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I got the other side done. I just took the rotor off this side. I'll clean it up, put it back together, and then kind of show you the process. I'll show you kind of what I did for the other side here. I took the rotor off, and one thing, the old rotor, there's these screw holes that match up with holes on here. That rotor wasn't lined up with those. It was like this, so I had rust mounds here. And even when I put the new rotor on and lined it up with those, it didn't quite line up with the hole, and the rotor would wobble on here. And I ground them down, I cleaned up the surface of the hub, and it was mostly flat. It didn't wobble. It's kind of touchy trying to do the wobble test, because it's going to want to wobble anyways, so you got to keep tight pressure on both sides when you're checking it. I got it where it's mostly good. If I slid the rotor over just a little bit one way, then it would wobble again, and I kind of figured it could have been due to I couldn't get real close to the edge of the bolt, the lug bolt here. And so I turned the rotor around, and on the back side of the rotor, I ground a bevel into each one of these with this Wen tool here. So I just work it back and forth like this, turn the rotor a bit so that my angle on the hole is a little bit different, so I'd end up grinding like this, and then basically like this on that hole. So I did those to put a bevel on there. There might be a little bit of a bevel. Yeah, there is a little bit, but I made it bigger. And then I just went around this edge here a little bit. And so that completely got rid of any wobble I had in the rotor, and then I ended up just shimming it and checking the run out with this. Now, I don't remember what the spec is, but I know on a number of cars they call for about 0.02 of an inch run out. And it can be a little dicey reading this when you're doing it, because that you can accidentally read the wrong way. And you can spin the top part around to line up with wherever your needle is, the numbers here. And so, say it goes from 0 there to 10, so that's your, you know, if on one side starts out at 0 and then goes, you're going around and goes up to 10. 10's your high side, so you'd spin it around to your low side and try to figure out what could be causing that. I mean, maybe there's extra rust here that you didn't notice. This side's actually pretty clean. And then I ordered a lifetime supply of Arbor shims, because I don't want to buy brake shims. So these are 0.03 of an inch. These ones are stainless. I did get a couple other packs. This one's 0.02. Now this is a little bit too big here. It overhangs the edge of the rotor. So I could cut them, that would work. And then what I did to kind of hold them in place so they wouldn't fall up against the stud here and sit on a rust pile, I put some silicone grease. Silicone grease, it's high temp, good for brake rotors and that. It's the only grease I use on here. It won't attack rubber. So I mean, even if you wanted to try and make your rubber last a little longer, you could even lubricate your rubber hose there with it, because it's silicone. Yeah, it says applications, rubber gaskets, O-rings and such, weather stripping, trunk seals. I don't use it on that just because it's so thick. I actually use, on the door stripping, I use .5 brake fluid because that's silicone. And I did find that at a couple local stores. I think maybe O'Reilly's had it, and then maybe Auto Value. I don't know. I just checked on their website. I mean, for the .5, and it was about the same price. You could have got it on Amazon, but you know, it was local, so I put some of that on here to hold the O-ring. Oh, it's not an O-ring, it's called a Arbor shim, or round shim. It might be called a slitter shim also. So I'll get this side cleaned up, and then I'll show you what I did. I'll show you the run out. Be back in a moment. Hopefully this side goes a lot faster than the other side did. Okay, I got the other rotor on. I didn't have to make any adjustments. I didn't bother cleaning the hub. But this is the side that gave me a lot of headache. This is where the rust mounds were. I ended up using the Dremel, and then you can see my shims here. And when I was checking the run out, what I did is I put the rotor on and put the lug nuts on. I didn't torque them to spec, I just snugged them up with what I could with the car being off the ground. This is what it looks like here with the 3 Arbor shims on there. And if I remember right, the brake kits that you can buy, I didn't look too long, but it sounded like they were like 3/1000ths or 6/1000ths of an inch adjustment, but they went all the way around. They're pretty spendy. I got these here. These should last me a lifetime. I got, you know, 300-400 of them. This is what the bevel looks like here that I did in these, around each of the lug holes here, and then around that edge there, just to try and get rid of the play. I'll show you the run out on the other side. If you don't get it within spec, you'll have brakes that chatter quickly. And here's what I use for getting the rust off here. I got a wire wheel here, and then I got this one. I got like a 6-pack for like $3. They're on sale. So there's the rotor on, lug nuts snugged hand tight. There's the dial indicator. So if the needle goes smaller, that'd be smaller, right? Because even though it's 0, 90, 80, that'd be the low side, and then if it goes up that way, going this way would be the high side. And it can be, it's easy to get confused on those. So I'll spin it around here. Hopefully this is focused okay. So it's shown 3 there, and this dial thing does move around on you. So earlier, so it's just a cable in here that tightens up with this. And usually I'll look for a spot so I remember where I started at. Could mark it or what have you. So this thing's, barely moving. If I wanted, I could try to spin that. So I have it at 0. It's kind of hard, as you can see, the needle jumps around there. Okay, there's the nut on the CV shaft, so I started about there, and then there's a hole in the router, so that'll give me a frame of reference. And I've gone all the way around, and we're in spec here, so jumping in between 0 and 1, so we're really good. The other side, I mean, that was a big headache. That took me hours, so hope that helps. If you don't get the run out within spec, you're going to be getting chattering brakes pretty quickly. I don't know. how long it would take. Could be a few thousand miles or so, I think what some people said. And then I'll try and bleed the brakes. If there's liquid in there, which, you know, .3 and .4 brake fluid absorb liquid, the boiling point goes down, because there's a dry boiling point and a wet boiling point of brake fluid. You can read more online if you Google that. But that's how one way you can get brake fade is if the brake fluid starts boiling and it turns into vapor. So I'll try to crack those open and bleed those out. This is my mother-in-law's car here. So hope that helps. I've been doing this for a while. You know, I don't remember being taught this in auto mechanics. I took that back in 97. I went to auto mechanics school. I took a quarter and realized I don't want to wrench on cars all day, every day. And that was over, you know, 25 years ago. I've always worked on my own cars, but I was learning new stuff. There's other channels that show really, really good information. And I mean, you might wonder what I covered in one quarter of auto mechanics. Well, we even had taken apart a rear differential and rebuilt that, and we had to have torque spec where there's needle torque. Spinning the hub around, the needle had to read within a certain range to make sure that the crush washer, whatever, I don't remember what it's called, is providing the same amount of torque. Now,